Hello friends, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful week. Welcome back. Welcome if it's your first time to my channel. So excited about today's video. I have been loving this dewy glowy foundation that I've been wearing for the last couple of days, so I thought I would share it with you guys. Everything that I'm using today is going to be clean, non-toxic, super great for your skin, and yeah, I'm really excited to share it with you, so let's get into it. Alright, so good morning guys. We're gonna do this glowy foundation look. I want to give a few disclaimers and kind of catch you up on what I've used so far this morning, and then partially the environment in which I live in, like just the things that I feel like are important to know when you're watching videos like this, because the biggest thing I think is when I do a makeup look or I start wearing a makeup look, I'm very much testing how that works for me in the context of the weather that I live in and how I like my makeup to look. So what works for me might not necessarily be the thing that works for you, and I want to give kind of everything up front and then maybe some little tweaks I think that might be a little bit better for you. Also, puppy is over on the floor sleeping, so we're gonna hope that he's chill for the duration of this video. He's been doing really well with all of the filming that I've done over the last couple of days when he isn't being very mischievous and stealing things and eating them. So far on my face, I've already done all of my skincare, and the last thing that ends up on my face every day is a combo of the Drunk Elephant D-Bronzi drops and the Farmacy sunscreen. I filmed a couple of videos over the last couple of days, so I have mentioned that they said that this is coming back, but that's like my favorite combo. And if I wasn't doing a more foundation-y look, I would also be opting for that and like the basics like concealer, brows, and lashes. Okay, the other things that I want to talk about, that I have normal to combo skin, so depending on where I'm at in like literally in the world more so, that can kind of shift, but I tend to go from like the normal to drier side. I live in Florida. It's a very humid climate here, so there might be little things that you need to add or tweak or remove from this particular routine to make it specifically work for you, and I'll kind of talk about those as we go through it, but this is the general like what I've been using over the last couple of days, what I've really loved. For me, doing the glowy skin foundation look, I love it, but it also means that I have to make sure that I'm actually really doing a good job at hydrating my skin prior to this. So sometimes that means throwing on an extra sheet mask. Sometimes that means throwing on the Rosebrook Advanced Hydration Mask. Just really making sure that I'm properly moisturizing my skin so that everything sits on my skin and the way that I want it to. So I think that's all my disclaimers as I drink my coffee. Thank you, Jesus, for an espresso. And let's do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is apply some facial oil. Now, I'm kind of at the bottom of all my facial oils and I'm trying to use things up, and I haven't bought anything new. So I actually have two different Herbivore ones. I have a baby amount left of my Phoenix facial oil, which I like, but I actually found this in my travel bag and I've been using it and loving it again. I'll probably buy a bigger one of this. And it's the Herbivore Lapis Balancing Facial Oil. Now, since it's in the roller ball, because it's perfect for travel that way, I like to rub this on my hands. Because with the D-Bronzi drops, there's already some kind of like foundation-y bronziness in my skin, or on my skin, and then the roller ball just picks it up. So just to keep it sanitary, I rub a good amount of this on my skin, and then I rub this in. I love the smell of this. I feel like there was a time a while back where everyone and their brother was using blue tansy in products, and I kind of miss that time. I also have a big cystic spot on my neck, so I've been trying to rub as much facial oil as I can into it to either get it to come to the surface or to go away. And then any excess, I always rub my arms, and then Asher tries to lick it off later. Okay, so you can use a couple of different primers, depends on what you want to use. I've been alternating between the Tatcha, the Silk Canvas, and the Honest Beauty one. Just a personal preference for you. This one is one of my faves, and I will go in. You guys can kind of see I've like killed it with my fingers. So I take the back of my nail and go through it simply to make sure that I get a lot of product. I was, when I was first using it, kind of just like rubbing my fingers on it, but I find that it doesn't necessarily work like I want it to, and then I have to get it off my nail and rub this in. So use whatever primer you feel like sits best on you. I always use primer on top of my eyes. I haven't really, since I switched over to Clean Beauty, I didn't really find, or I haven't really dived into finding a eye makeup primer that kind of replaces like the Urban Decay one, so that's just what I've been using. And then the next thing, and these are the little steps that like we'll talk about as we go through them. So I'm using the Vapour foundation stick, and this is it's the Atmosphere Luminous foundation in 115. Now I will say, for whatever reason, when I do this on the back of my hand, it doesn't show up very well there, but it's a lot thicker in that way. With the oil already mixed in, it's not going to be the same, so I kind of just have to go in like multiple layers. And I also don't super love my foundation really thick, so I know that like I'm gonna go back in with concealer, so I'm not uber worried about it, but it does glide on a little bit better. If you're looking to do this kind of a look and you want more coverage in your foundation, I'm also gonna blend this in with my hand, and then we'll fix it in a minute. But this is not a look that you want to use your sponge for. I will use my sponge at some point, but like for the most part, it's either a brush or my hands, because I know that I'm gonna go back in with concealer, so I'm not too fussed about the perfectionist of it. All right, let me clean my hands really quick. Okay, so this is chilling on my face. We're gonna go in concealer, but what I wanted to say about the Vapour is that I found that the best way, the way that I really enjoy wearing this, is to use it with the oil. Otherwise, I haven't really utilized this. I do have a deeper shade that we'll be using for contour, but this is the first way that I've really found and loved using this particular product, and it's a lot more sheer. So, excuse me, I'm gonna use the RMS concealer around my eyes. If you are into heavier coverage, you might be able to try this with a different product, or if you're not, I haven't found a super full coverage stick foundation in Clean Beauty yet. I will say that when I had the Hourglass Managing Stick Foundation, I always applied that with my, like, I would do the stick and then I would rub it in, particularly using the By Terry CC serum with it, which I don't think is considered clean, but I would use that. Okay, we're gonna go in with the FItglow Concealer for any spot concealing. My face looks really shiny right now, don't worry guys, that will change. But overall, the Vapour one is not super high coverage, which works really well for me because I prefer to kind of go in with some other bits. Now, like I said, this is really gonna depend on the look that you want for your face, and it's super glowy right now. Like in general, this would be too much for me on an everyday if I was just gonna do this and not the other steps and walking away from it, because I also live in a very humid climate. So the upkeep for me during the day, I will go in and pat this and you'll see that in a second. All right, so I use multiple powders in this process. First things first, we're gonna go in with my Crunchi foundation brush, and I tend to pat out my concealer. So this is why I said earlier that I wasn't so worried, because I always go in with this and I pat it out so that it kind of stays in place, but I still get the full amount of coverage that I really want. With the FItglow concealer, I've mentioned this before, but a little goes a long way, and if you're not super careful about that, you can get, like, if you're just using it in certain spots and everything else is really sheer, you can see that like packed coverage in. And then for my eyes, I'm gonna bust out a palette so I can see this. Since I have the RMS concealer in what shade? So FItglow, I use concealer number C2 on my face. When I use it on my eyes, I use C1. And then the RMS, I have the 00 Un-Cover Up. So we're gonna go in around the eyes and blend this out. And then I'm gonna go immediately in with my Kjaer Weis. I don't know how to say this properly. I feel like I thought I was saying it properly, and then I watched Luminous video the other day with Clean Beauty. I was catching up, and they told her how the pronunciation went, and I'm still not saying it right. So I go in and set my eye makeup with this. I love this powder. You guys have heard me talk about this powder. It's one of my favorites. And then we just do the other eye. Okay, so eyes are set, and I'm sure I'll have to dab that a little bit more. Now, before I go in and do all the contour and the rest of like my base, I'm gonna do my eyebrows, and there's nothing profound about that. So I'm gonna cut ahead, and we'll be back in just a second once my eyebrows are done. Okay, eyebrows are done. I always do them, and then I try to let them sit for a little bit because I use the Plume brow pomade and golden silk. So I like to let them sit for a minute, and then I can go in and tweak anything I need to tweak. Okay, so this is a personal preference. This is how I prefer to do things. You can pick and choose as you want, but this is just what I found works really well for my contour and base. Now, I watched CC Clark's video a while back on contour mistakes and just contouring in general and the things that are like the best to do, and I pulled and tweaked from there. And so particularly because of that, and then just knowing where I live and having the longevity, I like to do everything in layers. I feel like this might seem like it takes a really long time, but once you kind of get into the habit of it, it's really no time at all. So the first thing we're gonna do is go in with another Vapour foundation stick, and it's the Atmosphere Luminous Foundation, and then 135. So I have this, and I also have the bronzing stick. Depending on what I'm doing, I use different stuff, but I find that they're both incredibly similar. Let me pull the cap off this one so you can see. So this is the bronzing, this is the foundation. So you can see it on the back of my hand. So bronzing, foundation, and the foundation's a lot more orange toned. I think they're both kind of similar, but they're a little bit different. So it just depends on your personal preference, but I tend to use the foundation a little bit more. So we're gonna go in, and I'm gonna look like a crazy person and do my little cream contour. Now, if you're a powder person, I'm actually gonna go in with powder over all of this. So it's just your personal preference, but for the like dewier look and just everyday, I always go in with cream. And then I'm gonna take my Real Technique stippling brush and blend this in. I find that this is just what works best for me. You could probably use a beauty sponge, but because I'm using the stick foundation, and this particular stick foundation I've already said is really sheer, I find that it works better for me if I do this, because otherwise with the sponge it just takes up too much product. So whichever one works for you is what you should do. Okay, so we're in a good place with that. Now here's the part that is something that I do partially because of the humidity, and I just find it works best for my skin, is I do a light layer of powder over all of this. Because of the humidity, like I said, I feel like keeping this, like the luminous foundation look, like the silky glowiness, I want to keep it throughout the day, but I don't want it to get to the point where it looks so oily. So I'm going to taper it down, and I feel like this also helps all of the powder products I'm going to put on top sit better and not cling to any patches on my skin. So I have a big powder brush from Real Techniques as well, and then I have my Cloven Hollow foundation, and I actually don't know what color this is, guys, sorry, because it's, the pan's kind of stuck in there, but I just kind of go around and pat it down. I'm not trying to do anything crazy, but I am trying to make sure that when I go in after this with my powder product, they aren't clinging to any patches. So, a light layer of powder. Okay. Now, if I'm feeling extra with this, I will go in with my contour duo from Lily Lolo and kind of add an extra stripe in there. If I need the contour like super defined, I'll do that, because Obviously, as you can see, there's like a light bit of contour going on, but it's really blended out. That foundation shears out really well. But for now, I'm gonna go in with my Lila BB Bronze, or Sunkissed Bronze Beauty, and do that. I feel like I've had this guy for over a year now, and I love it. And when you like look at the top of bronzer, because you know, it feels like bronzer never goes away. I'm using the blush brush from Real Techniques. It feels like bronzer never goes away, but then I look at like, I hold it this way and I can see the actual depth of how much I use. Like, I'm excited to hit pan, but I'm also like, I don't know if I want to hit pan on you. I love this bronzer. I just always go in the middle because it's got the warmer and cooler shades to it. And I bronze pretty much my whole dang face. And I always take bronzer down the neck. Although I did spray a little bit of the Saint-Tropez Purity spray on my face the other day. And so that's kind of helping. And then if I feel like I've gone a little too over, I'll come back in with a brush. Sometimes that happens. Now, because I've been using the RMS Living Luminizer as my highlighter the last couple of days, I've been doing this particular step in reverse. I will go in with my blush first. And this is the Antemi blush in Rose. I love this blush. I feel like I've been pretty much exclusively using this one for the last few months. It's my favorite. And like I said, when I go too ham on anything, you just kind of do a swipe. But because I'm using a powder blush and a cream highlighter, I always do that in reverse. Normally, I wouldn't put cream on top of powder products, but I just find that if I don't do it in that way, that I end up in a place where my blush gets a lot clingier and it doesn't really go on like I want it to because it's just clinging to the highlight. So I just got it on my middle finger. I need to clean this off actually. I'm just gonna go in until I feel like I'm glowing like I want to glow. And I go down the nose and the top of the lid. So that is pretty much the base for my face. Now, I will say throughout the day, I will go in and use something like my puff to pat out anything that I feel like is excessively glowy. If the oil's built up. So I won't necessarily go in and powder throughout the day, but if I have like oil blotting sheets or I just feel like it's overly done, I will go in and do that. And then I will also, I'm gonna go in and do my eye makeup, but I do use a setting spray. So let me do my eye makeup, then we're gonna set it. Actually, we'll go ahead and set it now, and then I will come back and check in with you. So I've been using the Pacifica Pineapple Flower Oil-Free Matte Mist just to kind of help I just liberally spray this. It's affordable, and like I said, I live in a very humid climate, so I try to be mindful of that and making sure that I'm picking products that will work with that. So let me go finish my eye makeup and mascara, and I will be back to wrap up this video. Alright guys, and we officially have a completed glowy face. So I know that this will be a little bit different for everybody, and it is a very glowy look. With the oil, it makes it a little bit more glowy. Sorry, there's a hair in my eyeball. And I don't really, when my hair is, or face is this glowy, I don't really want it to stick to my foundation. If it's, like I said, if it's too much for you, you can kind of make the little adjustments as you need. And for me, the foundation is a bit more sheer, but I love the look. Everything looks super dewy, super glowy, and I probably will pat it throughout the day just to make sure it's not oily, and then we stay in the glowy game. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, give it a like, because it really supports my channel. I am going to start doing more brand overviews and focusing really heavily on like clean beauty and clean skincare, so you guys have just a great resource and tool to really dive into that if you're making that transition into a more cleaner, greener beautiful life. So yeah, I'll leave a link for everything I used down below, including anything that I used off camera as well. And I hope that this helps you. So if you aren't already subscribed, make sure you click that button and like this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel. Come follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm always on Instagram stories, mostly sharing my pup, but also sharing any looks that I'm doing, healthy things that we're eating, just building a healthy and happy life. So I love you guys. You matter to me. I'm so glad that you're here, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.